Good evening, YouTube. It is May 22nd, 2012. I got some time to actually sit and try and make a video, and I'm even working from a list this time, so this may make some sense and be in some kind of order. Anyway, it is, let's see, it's 2 years, 1 month, and 16 days on what would be considered a very low dose of testosterone. My dose just changed, actually. I was pretty steadily doing 16 milligrams, which basically is next to nothing, but I've recently upped to 20 milligrams. Again, still pretty close to nothing, but enough to still have an effect. Main reason on that is I just had labs done in February, and because of my medical history, the doctors are not comfortable with my T levels being much above minimal male dose, or male levels, I should say. So I guess the range on that is like 250 to 800, and I was up around 300, and they were okay with that. And I just had lab work done a couple months ago, and it came back at like 175, which is lower than I want, and low enough that I was kind of feeling like I was going the wrong direction. As far as cancer lab work, everything's coming back great, so right now there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of alarm on that end. So that's some good news. I hopefully will get my levels back up a little bit, and will start feeling a little bit more like myself again. So before I get into just kind of a rundown on changes, I wanted to talk about just how I've been viewing what's happening to me physically. I'm feeling like it's sort of my stomach's growling, excuse me. I'm kind of calling it my private transition. My public presentation is still very androgynous, but I can easily still pass for female. Can also pretty easily pass for male. But the changes, especially the physical changes, are very noticeable to me, but really not that noticeable externally, with the exception of my voice. I just feel like I'm physically correcting what's felt so wrong, and I'm comfortable in my own skin, and I love it. I really do. I feel more like me than I've ever felt before. So, would I call it a transition? I honestly don't know. It's a very gradual one if it's a transition. But whatever it is, I'm comfortable with it, and for me it works. So, first thing I wanted to talk about physical change-wise was my hairline, which seems to be stable. It's definitely, I guess they call it squared off, sort of receding a little bit at the temples, but I'm not really losing hair at this point. It's just a different hairline than what I used to have. Hopefully it stays that way. I think at the dose that I'm at, I don't really need to worry too much, at least not for a very long time. Hopefully I'm right, and I guess time will tell on that one. As far as body hair, not a big increase from what it's been doing over the last year or so. I'm finding the hair is getting longer rather than thicker. I've got the hairiest knees I've ever seen, but overall, a little more hair on my arms. It's kind of working around on my forearms, around the sides, instead of just on top. Yeah, just a little bit more, but again, not becoming a gorilla or anything, just a little bit more than what I had before. Body fat, weight, appetite, definitely seeing some redistribution on the body fat. My weight hasn't changed, but I'm noticing a little more thickness around the middle. Clothes are fitting a little more, or just a little differently. A little broader in the shoulders. Again, nothing drastic. I don't think it really shows, but I feel it in how the clothes are fitting. Appetite at this dose, pretty much the same as it's always been. I eat a lot anyway, so it hasn't really changed a whole lot. Acne, as my voice cracks, acne has been coming back a little bit since I upped the dose. Even that little bit has made a difference. I find if I am pretty careful about doing the facial cleanser and stuff every day, it does seem to stay pretty much in check. It's not bad, it's just every so often it'll break out. Breaking out under my chin, but I think that's more to do with facial hair, which I am getting a little bit of. It's blonde, but it's kind of sticking straight out as it grows in. I shave maybe every week and a half to 2 weeks. I probably got a good eighth of an inch kind of sticking out. Chin, more or less right up the jawline, under my chin. Under my chin gets really itchy, so I've been trying to keep that shaved. So I don't know if that's some of why I've been breaking out more. I've getting kind of bumpy on my shoulders, and my back has been really itchy, but nothing seems to really be breaking out. It's nothing major. I can live with it. Muscle mass, definitely noticed a change. Not really so much in strength, but I do look different to myself. A little bit more in my arms. Been trying to do push-ups, and I'm definitely noticing chest, pec muscles are much more defined than they were. Biggest thing I've noticed lately is, excuse me, my neck has gotten thicker. I mean, I haven't measured it or anything, but I can see I've definitely got more neck muscle, and seem to be, I think, developing a little bit of an Adam's apple. I'm going to post a little picture in here for a few seconds. But just overall feel solid. I'm in my mid heading into late 40s and starting to feel a little rickety, and definitely feel better than I was feeling without tea. So as I finish clearing my voice, or clearing my throat, my voice has, I guess, stayed about the same. Seems like it's cracking more, but it's not dropping or anything. I can definitely now, when I get sirred, even after I start talking to somebody, I still continue to get sirred if I make sure I don't let my voice go up too much. I hate that awkward moment where somebody calls you sir, and the second you open your mouth, they're like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry." I just find it very embarrassing, and I've always hated that very awkward moment. So it's kind of nice to be able to keep that going and not hit that moment where I just want to either strangle somebody or crawl under the nearest rug. So on the phone can go either way. Sometimes I get called ma'am, sometimes I get called sir. I think people hear what they want to hear. Getting a lot more of the "what's wrong with your voice" from people that I know who haven't heard from me for a while. A couple people who haven't recognized me when I've answered the phone. Fairly easy to explain away, but it's kind of cool. I'm enjoying that. Very brief statement on downstairs growth. That seems to have tapered off. But what I've found is, I guess, things haven't changed physically, appearance-wise, but things just react differently. I will leave it at that, but curious if anybody has any comment on that. Things definitely feel different than they used to. So I guess that is that. Almost done. I wanted to talk about mood. mood hasn't really fluctuated much at all. Not noticing any highs or lows as far as when I do my shot, just because the levels don't really fluctuate that much, I guess. Um, Overall, I'm in a pretty decent mood most of the time. When I do get upset about something, it seems like it passes pretty quickly. If anything, I feel like I can let go of things more easily than I used to, and I'm chalking that up to just generally feeling better about myself and about my life in general, so that when something rocks the boat, it seems like it just settles down a little more easily and I can let go of it more easily. And last but not least would be just talking about my partner. I'm in a very long-term relationship, and it it's I mean, obviously she knows. It's not something we really talk about. She's supportive. She's very happy to see me much more comfortable with myself than I've ever been. But it's really not something that we discuss a whole lot. And sometimes there are things that, I notice a change and I get excited about it, and I'd like to be able to share it and have her share the excitement, but I guess she doesn't seem to see the same need to talk about things as I do, I guess, which is a little disappointing sometimes, but it's not for lack of support. I think it's just, it's there, it's a part of our lives just like anything else, and there's no real need to constantly be talking about it. Excuse me. Getting over a cold, so I'm clearing my throat even more than usual. But, it's not having any negative effect. I mean, there's certainly other things that we don't talk about on a regular basis, and that's fine. But I think the thing that's probably the most noticeable is my cracking voice, and she teases me about it, and it's fine. We get a good laugh out of it, and at the core, I'm still me, and that hasn't changed, and I think that I'm kind of glad that things haven't really changed in a lot of ways. I'm still the same partner. I think I'm really just physically able to express more who I've always described myself to be all along. So that going on T and having some physical changes hasn't been that big a change, in that I've always been very open about my gender identity within the relationship. So, it's a work in progress. There's actually been a pretty good series of videos. I can't remember the guy's name at this point, or his username, but both he and his partner have been posting as he goes through his transition, and it's a great set of videos. I was very glad to find them, and it's neat to hear somebody's partner describe the experience, since it's just not something that we really talk about at any great length. So I wish I could tell you who to look for if you were interested in seeing them, but I can't remember the name. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I've babbled on. I've gotten through my list, and a little over 2 years on low dose T. That's where I'm at. Life is good, and there's some up days, there's some down days, but overall, no regrets at all. I'm very happy to be where I'm at, and looking forward to continuing it. So for now, that's it. Probably talk to you again in a few months.